Let's pick our teams for the game. Gorsty, I'll come to you first. We know that Alisson will be back in goal. Obviously, we know we've spoken about the two fullbacks coming off early against Watford at the weekend. Does that then make it the back four being the usual back four?
Yeah, usual back five, I think. Don't see no reason to change it too much. They weren't really overworked, really. It was a bit of a slippers on afternoon for the centre backs. So Matip once again and Van Dijk.
Theo, is that the same for you? I mean, it's 5 subs as well. We should probably mention that in this one. So whoever does start doesn't necessarily mean they're going to play the entire match either.
The only change you would consider is if you want to bring in Konate or Gomez, but the fixture list has been kind to Liverpool on these ones. Like, I know that you normally hate having these early Saturday kickoffs, but that has given them extra time to recover for this one. And they have got that extra day with it being on Tuesday to return for United. So yeah, Van Dijk and Matip back to their best. Got that form partnership going. They definitely seem to be the first choice duo at the moment. I think when they last played Atletico, it was Joe Gomez with Van Dijk. And I'm not saying Gomez was at fault for the struggles they faced in that, but Matip definitely seems to be the informed partnership. I think Konate is more one for the future. There are other games where you're going to give the centre-backs a bit of rotation, but when you go into one of your toughest games of the season so far, you want your strongest defence, and that is the tried and trusted, what we're seeing most of the time at the moment.
Yeah, tried and trusted for you as well, Doyley, and if it is, you might as well talk us through your midfield.
No, it's not. I do think obviously it's Alisson, Trent and Robertson. Centre-backs is interesting. I think he'll play Van Dijk, but he won't play Matip, and I think Gomez will come in. It's purely because Matip, I think, has played more games this season, I think, than the last 3 seasons combined. That's not true. Just made that up. but the point being is that he's played a lot of games this season already, and he has been Liverpool's best defender. But I think the United game is bigger than this one, and if there's one player who they won't want to take any risks with, it's Matip. So there's that. In terms of midfield, well, Fabinho will play. Then after that, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. I mean, there's no Elliott, there's no Jones, and there's no Thiago. Don't think Oxlade-Chamberlain. Don't think he's good. Although I thought he did quite well when he came on. Actually, he looked like he was determined to prove a bit of a point, and did have a hand in the 5th goal. Don't think he's quite there. So, well, to be honest, Milner, can you see him getting through another? I don't think so. So it looks like the midfield will be Fabinho, Henderson, and Keita.
Yeah, I think that's my midfield, definitely. Gorsty, you said before that Keita had done well on Saturday, and I suppose it makes sense to keep him in there then.
Yeah, it does. It should do. The only worry I might have was the fact that he played 3 times for Guinea, but I think only one of them was 90 minutes. But given that we know how kind of susceptible Naby Keita is to minor knocks, I'd be worried about giving him a 5th game in 9 days or whatever. But if we're talking about form alone, then yeah, he has to be in there based on Saturday and Fabinho and Henderson alongside him.
I think part of my thinking as well, Theo, would be I'd quite like to see James Milner on the pitch at Old Trafford. I'm not quite convinced that he can play 3 games in a week. So I think that probably leaves you with Keita. Are you in agreement?
Yeah, it's one where if I'd been choosing a team for Watford, I'd have thought Oxlade-Chamberlain would have started that one so you can save Naby Keita for this one and so you can save him for Manchester United. But he did start the season well, and it was only because of the form of Harvey Elliott that really he dropped out. When he's fit and he's playing well, it makes sense to keep him there. I think I did a piece during the international break where it was a surprise that Jordan Henderson actually played further forward in midfield until this season, since like the Everton game when Van Dijk did his ACL. So whilst it's good that he's showed a bit of form as a number 6 again, maybe it's still taking him time to get back to his best in that more advanced midfield position. We've seen that so far this season. So maybe he'd be one to drop out for a James Milner because you don't have many other options there. But because of the lack of options, you would think it is going to be Henderson keeping his place with Keita and Fabinho. And then it's just hoping they get through it without any injuries. Like you mentioned earlier, they've got 5 subs. So if Liverpool, in the hour mark, they're winning, or even if they've got a draw, that's when you maybe bring on James Milner for half an hour, or you see what Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain can do, or you swap to a 4-2-3-1. But with the options they've got, that does seem to be the trio to choose.
And in terms of the forward line, I had assumed that Diogoal Jota would start this one, Doyley, given that he didn't start at the weekend. But given what happened, you can't really take Roberto Firmino out, can you?
I just want to go back to my midfield, actually. There's a couple of points that, one, James Milner plays so often in these games, it's ridiculous. Like these big Champions League games he plays. Having said that, I don't think he will. But I'd forgotten about Keita, and he's played the 3 games in 6 days. So I actually think that Keita won't play. I think Oxlade-Chamberlain will start. That's my opinion. I think he's waited long enough for another game. And as we've said before, okay, it's not a game. Okay, like the league games where you always think just the way things are at the moment, Liverpool need to win. This is not a game Liverpool need to win, if that makes any sense. And I think with the 5 subs, I think Oxlade-Chamberlain probably merits and deserves to have this opportunity. And as was reminded, I think it was Dan, wasn't it, on the podcast, said it on Friday, that in that game against Atletico at home, the game that everyone forgets, is that he was absolutely brilliant in that game. So I think possibly there is a call for him to play. So I'm going to change it to Henderson, Fabinho, and Oxlade-Chamberlain. And up front, yeah, it's going to be Mane, Jota, and Salah. I'd forgotten who the other player was there.
I thought you were going to drop him then.
Yeah, just in terms of the midfielder, I suppose Naby Keita going back to Madrid, he maybe wasn't at his best the last time he headed to Madrid, so certainly one that he'd want to improve on. But just in terms of your forward line, Gorsty, Doyle has dropped the hat-trick hero. Are you doing the same?
I don't think it's too outrageous a shout, to be honest. Obviously, he's just bagged the hat-trick and he's going to be flying. But then you're looking at Sunday and thinking he scored 2 at Old Trafford in May, was it? And that's the bigger game this week. So it's got its merits, that one. But I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure whether to bring Firmino out and bring Jota in, or whether to stick with it. Don't know, Theo. You have to decide and vote. I'm not sure.
I'd be tempted to have Mane drop out and have Jota on the left with Firmino up front. I've still got Mane getting subbed at half time, didn't he, in the away leg last time out? Atletico properly rattled in there and got under his skin, and you know they're going to be trying the same tactics. And that could work either way. Mane could be out there with a point to prove, absolutely tear them apart and have his best game of the season. Or it could happen again. He could lose his head. And we know he can get a bit angry at times. And that's why they had to sub him half time, because he'd been booked and they were fearful that he could get sent off. But then, as Doyley's mentioned earlier in this podcast, there is going to be a bit of rotation with the front 3. It just so happens at the moment you can't rotate Mohamed Salah because he is that good. We're talking about Oxlade-Chamberlain's deserved his opportunity. Well, Firmino's deserved an opportunity too, and he's got his hat-trick, so it makes sense to stick with him. So yeah, Jota can come in against his former club, and Sadio can sit out and then prove Jurgen Klopp wrong against Manchester United. Let's do that.
Yeah, whoever sits out, I'm sure, will want to prove a point when they come on. And as we said, the 5 subs means that they almost certainly will. But that is our team then. Just before we go, we'll do our match predictions. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, I think. Gorsty, I'll come to you first on these. How do you reckon it might play out?
Yeah, I'd take a draw on this one, to be honest. I think it's going to be really difficult. I think the Simeone called for the fans to basically create as big an atmosphere as they can, didn't he? And he actually said that he thought that they were already winning because of the atmosphere that they created last time out. So it's a difficult one. Liverpool went there as the best team in the world in March 2020, and they're not quite at those levels yet, although they have been excellent this season. So I'll take a draw.
Doyley, I'll come to you next. How do you reckon it might be? I think, a draw seems to be a popular result.
I wouldn't be surprised if they lost, but I would be slightly surprised if they won. And they certainly wouldn't be scoring 3 away from home again, that's for sure.
I was going to say 3-0.
I'm going to go with -1-all. No, I think. To be honest, I think it's 1-1. It's 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1 written all over it. Theo?
Yeah, it's not exactly a game that Liverpool have enjoyed scoring in the past. 1-1 seems to be the safe bet. As long as they don't concede after 4 minutes again, then you'd like to think it'll go a bit better than last time.
Yeah, 1-1 certainly wouldn't be the worst result in the world for Liverpool, and we'll have all of the reaction to the Atletico game across the Liverpool Echo, Liverpool.com and your Blood Red channel, as usual, over the next few days. We'll be back to assess the game on Friday's edition of the podcast as well, which will also be a big preview of the game against Manchester United on Sunday. For now, though, from myself, Matt Addison, Paul Gorst, Ian Doyle and Theo Squires, until next time, it's goodbye.